Welcome to Glazed Over, a podcast for contemporary ceramic studios. We're your host, Jessica Cowan.
And Amy Williams. You're invited to join us in creative conversation about life in the arts as entertainment space.
Hi, Jess.
Hi, Amy.
How are you?
I'm really good. I'm buzzing because I was in Atlanta and saw Beyonce over the weekend.
Oh, did you get to see Jay-Z?
I did
he
not.
was here
I was
last
there
night.
for night one.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I did not want to be in the weekend mania of Atlanta, but seeing Beyonce in person was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you be there and you live there. So
I know.
There's
Yeah,
that.
tonight's the peek behind the curtain. Tonight's the last night for Beyonce. And if I can find a cheap ticket, I might go. But
It's worth
what a
it.
hassle.
Yeah.
What a hassle. But that's amazing. I love that. I also kind of feel like we just talked to like Beyonce and Jay-Z a little bit, which is Susan and Dave of
Exactly.
Gare. They're often
There are
referred to as
superstars.
they are
Yeah.
often referred to as Beyonce and Jay-Z of I guess they're not married, so that doesn't really make any sense. But you can tell where we are in the coffee intake today. How's that?
Yeah.
I think
It's
people do
Monday
like
morning,
it
so
when I get a little off the rails in the intro. Let's hope
yeah.
that that's the case.
It makes it interesting at least.
To say the least. Yes. This was a really fun episode. I love these supplier series where we're getting to know them a little bit better because you just find out things that you did not know. For instance, I've always wondered what Gare means and where it comes from and where it stands,
Yeah.
what it stands for. And now we know.
I think that could be like a pop quiz question at convention. If I have stickers to hand out, so I mean, if
There
you
you
can
go.
answer that question, I'll give you a sticker.
Oh, I love the idea of people coming up and having to tell us their favorite episode
Yeah.
before they
Too
get
bad
us.
this is coming out after convention though,
But that's
right?
true.
So that's unfortunate, but you're gonna get you got a sticker anyway, so
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, we learned a lot talking to Susan and Dave. They're so warm. They've been in the industry. I mean, Dave mentioned this is his 40th year working for Gare, and I
yeah.
just think that's amazing. That's longer than we've been alive, not to brag,
Right.
but
No,
yeah.
but it is. And so it's really interesting hearing their perspective and what that time has really felt like and what they've been able to accomplish over the years. So it's a good listen.
And it's like a genuine family business, and I think that's so
Mhm.
special.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I can talk about the generational stuff, and I do with the customers all day, but now we're getting to see it kind of live and in action with what it looks like on the supplier side as well, and just how deep of an impact we really can have in this industry.
Yep, yep, it's the best. And as always, you can watch this on YouTube. So if you've started on just, your podcast app and
Spotify.
you'd want to see our beautiful faces, absolutely jump over to YouTube. And like and subscribe and ratings and all that stuff because it does matter. And we appreciate that you're here.
Yep.
And on
Have a
that,
good listen.
yeah, have a good listen. Bye, guys.
Hey everyone, Des Toll here from Biscuit Imports. We just launched our brand new must-have markdowns page at biscuitimports.com, packed with seasonal, holiday, and classic bisque at up to 25% off. These aren't discontinued, just temporarily marked down, so grab them while you can.
Feel like a juggler at your ceramic studio? Between classes, bookings, and admin tasks, those pins keep flying. Let Occasion help you put down the act and get back to creating. Visit occasion.act to discover your peace of mind.
Want to make better business decisions backed by data? CCSA members get access to exclusive industry reports, surveys, and research that provide valuable insights into trends and customer behavior in the fine arts world. From pricing strategies to consumer preferences, CCSA gives you the information you need to stay competitive and thrive. Ready to use data to drive your success? Join the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association and get access to this valuable resource. Learn more at www.ccsaonline.com.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. This is a part of our supplier series where we're sort of just getting to know you guys a little bit better. We're lucky enough that you guys have been around for quite some time and you're very active in the industry. So, I do feel like I know you guys really well, but I'm excited to learn something new. Would you guys like to introduce yourself? Maybe we'll start with Susan.
Oh, no, start the eldest first.
All right, Dave.
All right, I'll go first. Yeah, my name is Dave Alaimo. I'm president of Gare Incorporated. I run the business with my sister Susan, who is our vice president of sales. And titles don't mean much here because, one day I'm bringing down the garbage and, the next day, meeting on designs. But I've been in, I just looked up that I've been in the industry now, 40th year. So I'm feeling a little bit older today.
Congratulations. That's
Yeah.
huge.
That
So
is huge. That's
I'll
awesome.
I'll let Susan speak for herself though, but
Yep. So I'm Susan, as Dave said, his little sister, and I have been in this for. I looked too when you guys asked us to do this, and I've been doing this for 33 years. That's a long time. So, um, and I did not start right out of college, though. I actually had worked in New York City before for a little bit. My dream was to be a buyer. So, and I think that's where my love for all my inventory talks comes from. I love it. So, I had gone to Abraham and Strauss and went through the buying program. But it was my oldest brother Tom who recruited me. He just was like, "You need to join Gare." So it was I think I put down that uh, he interviewed me 3 hours. It was the hardest
What?
interview ever. Yeah, I was like, seriously, like you don't know me by
Nothing
now.
like family, I guess, you know.
It really, all seriousness aside, it really was because I was the youngest. It was about making sure that I had a thick enough skin to work in the family business and that, um, I had to start from the ground up. So I started as a customer service rep and really worked my way up. And it was great. It was good. He kind of prepared me for that. So
Wow.
that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, and you've mentioned it's a family business, so can you guys get into that a little bit? Did it start with your parents?
yeah, definitely. Gare, while it was started in 1950 by an owner, his name was George Klinetsky. He had a wife, Alma, and he had two daughters at the time, Robin and Elaine. So he took the first initials of the family members' names, George, Alma, Robin, and Elaine, and came up with a mashup and created Gare. And he ran the business from 1950 to 1983. And our father, who was in kind of big business in the corporate world, was getting disenchanted with that. He didn't like the time away from family. He was starting to butt heads with people in his company, and he just said, "What am I doing this for? I'd really like to own my own small business." And make a long story short, he met with a business broker that would kind of funnel him companies to look at and review. And he looked at Gare and really kind of got enchanted with the creativity of the ceramic industry. Really didn't know anything about ceramics, but was a very good marketer and salesman. And said, "This could be fun. I'd like to try this." And at the time, my brother was and I were in college. Susan, I think, was in
I
maybe
was
even
14.
she
Yeah.
was
Mm.
So
like she was still younger. She was our baby, you know. But he decided to take the jump and buy the business. And I can remember from my perspective, it was kind of funny because I was in college then, almost a junior when he bought the business, and I was taking ceramic courses as a art elective and had fallen in love with it. It was just like very therapeutic to me, working on the wheel, hand building, things like that. And when he said, "Oh, I bought a ceramics business," I knew nothing about Gare. I hadn't heard of that company before. I worked there for a summer or two and on breaks, and eventually decided at the last minute to join the business and see what it was all about. And I haven't left. I just fell in love with the products, the people, our customers, the people we work with. Many of you know them. People like Robert and Jamie and Tammy and Charlotte. It's just a fun group.
mm.
I enjoy the creativity very much. So when our dad bought it, I said I'll give it a try, and here I am 40 years later.
No
Wow.
promises, but it's my life purpose. It's fine.
Yeah.
Susan, did you feel any like little sister rebellion about working in the family business?
I just wanted to carve my own path. Like I really, I just didn't feel the calling. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't intriguing to me. And at the time, we had lived in Connecticut, 45 minutes outside of New York City. And I thought I was going to love New York City. And I was able to, walk to the train station from the house and get into the city and walk to my job. And um, I learned very quickly, though, I wasn't a big city person. And um, it's interesting because with the Abraham and Strauss, they were then at the end of my buying program training, they were getting bought out by Jordan Marsh. And we were told for 5 years we had to be on the floor. And I was like, you knew when you hired me that this was going to happen. I know that much about business. And so I was really, I was young, I was naive. And that's when Tom had said, why don't you just come and interview? It'd be great to have, all of us siblings in the business. And, part of me wishes I kind of stuck it out in retail, but I love the family business. Wouldn't go back because I kind of have the best of both worlds. I still get to work, and talk to studios about pricing and inventory and what should you carry and how are you doing. So I feel like I've meshed both desires.
Yeah. Can you tell I'm the little sister of the family?
Yeah.
It's a very me related question. So I didn't realize I just assumed you guys were from Massachusetts. Has Gare always been in Massachusetts and y'all relocated?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gare was always located in Haverhill, Massachusetts. I guess as the story goes, George and Alma, after they got married, they started it right in Haverhill, and so it's been here the whole time. And um, when my father bought the business, he was living, as Susan just kind of highlighted. Their family, their house was in Connecticut, and my dad wasn't sure, where is this going to go? Am I going to grow this and move on, or am I going to, stay with it? So, oddly enough, he built a apartment on the premises where he kept his house in Connecticut, would come up for the week and drive back home to Connecticut. So he never moved. When I joined the business, I moved right up here. So
Yeah.
it wasn't per se a relocation because I was in college before then. My brother had done the same thing right out of college. He basically joined and moved right up here. So my roots have been here now for 40 years. And but my father is when he was kind of in the business world, he was moving the family constantly as he moved up the ladder. We kind of stayed in two basic areas, Connecticut, where he and my mom both grew up and were born, and then upstate New York, where one of the companies kept hiring him back. And so, but we moved around a lot. I went to three different high schools. So I was kind of used to kind of getting up and going, but now I've been here 40 years in the same place. So yeah, Gare has always been in Haverhill, Massachusetts.
Mm.
We had Robert on the podcast last year and we had just the most fun you could imagine. I learned many things that I did not know. And one of those was that his father you also worked at Gare, right? So it's like
Yeah.
genuinely a family business. Can you remind the listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was a real kind of heartwarming story when now you look back at what Robert has been able to do here. So George Klinetsky was looking, they already had a color line at the time in the uh, late 60s, early 70s. They had a mold line too, but he knew he wanted to develop that further. And so George decided to go to an area of the world that was kind of known for ceramic design. And so he put ads in the newspaper in the UK. And Robert's father, Gary Sharp, responded to the advertisement and basically uprooted his whole family. And he moved to the United States. And Gary was with the company from basically the early 70s up through the early 2000s and was a marvelous sculptor. And, having the privilege of working with a lot of creative people, and especially in sculpting, it's just so fun to think that his father did an amazing job, and now Robert has done an amazing job. Two very different sculptors. Gary was when we were really heavily into the traditional market, Gary was tremendous at kind of fairies and angels and Santa Clauses and things like that. And Robert really started to get good at cute. And the funny thing was, Gary couldn't really do cute too well, and so we had a great team. When Robert was apprenticing under his father, it was just marvelous to see the growth and where
Yeah.
it's come. So, and actually, one of Robert's brothers worked here for a short time in the sculpting area as well, Ben Sharp, and he moved into another kind of sculpting for architectural moldings, and I think he moved to Lenox, China for a little while. But a very creative family. Their whole family is creative. We find that a lot. Take Marianne O'Hearn and now
Right.
Tammy. And Tammy's daughter, Charlotte, is now apprenticing under Robert. Some of our very best people come from either family members or people they know,
Yeah.
word of mouth.
Like we have our
That's
ceramic engine.
it's just that's the fun of working here. Just that just seeing the creative team do their stuff. It's very rewarding.
Well, I think it's also a testament to you guys that they want to bring their family here.
Yeah.
That's really amazing.
It makes it fun too. And
Yeah.
we have other people like Kim Kim Brill, who works for Susan in sales, and Jeff Brill, who is our ceramic engineer who creates all the colors. There's little pockets of family here, and it makes it makes it really fun. And I think it's very rewarding for everybody.
Yeah. Has Jeff been there a while?
Yeah, he's been
Yeah.
here about 8 years now,
Okay. I
something like
remember
that.
catching one of the glaze guys at a convention, and I asked a question about, well, what's your favorite color? And I was there for about maybe 30
That was
minutes.
Jeff.
And it was great, but I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, right. Like I asked the engineer a question.
Oh, and he's passionate. He is passionate
Oh,
about his
yes.
work. Yes.
We are surprised we hired him though, because he's an avid Mets and like New Jersey, New York sports or how do you say that?
Sports fan. He's a sports
Sports
fan.
fan, yeah.
Sports guy.
fan.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we still hired him.
Oh, that's so funny.
We don't hold it against him. That's good.
No, not yet, at least.
No.
What is something that you guys have kind of learned through working in this family business that you were surprised about? I know that's kind of a big question, but I'm always so interested. I've been in business. This is my 6th year. Jess has been in business for a while, and I'm always looking for, I don't know, advice from people that have been doing it for quite some time. So I know that's a little off script there, but can you think of anything that you've learned over the years that surprised you?
I think our dad had a great saying, especially when we were younger, is that things are never as good or as bad as they first appear. And it really has helped through so many different things. Like you can think you're having like a great high, and he would just caution you to say, it's going to probably roll back a little bit. So don't get too, excited and comfortable. And then things are never as bad as they appear. They're always going to get better. You're always going to find some type of equilibrium in the middle. So just keep going.
Yeah.
I think the thing that surprised me a little bit in the beginning, but then it seems so natural now is and one of the reasons is it's worked so well for us is that Susan, my brother Tom, myself, and even my dad and my mom, uh, and our mother was, an important part of the business. She had passed away several years ago, but we each had different strengths. And I think the thing that surprised me was I thought in the beginning, while you could butt heads on separate issues and different issues. Once each of us learned what our strengths were and our weaknesses were, we really got comfortable with, it was almost like the left hand and the right hand knew what they were doing. Like right now, Susan and I, we don't even have to necessarily communicate, although we do several times a day. You start to learn what everybody is good at. And I think that it kind of surprised me in the beginning. Now it seems like second nature, but like I wasn't sure how this was going to work. My brother, my sister, my dad, my mom, and it took some time because, the parents, for anybody who's been in the family business, a parent could look at the child always as the child, and so it takes a while. You got to earn your stripes. You got to earn
Mhm.
the respect that okay, Dave and Susan know what they're doing now. I can loosen up. And now our father's, fully retired, but it wasn't always that way. And but I would say just learning each other's strengths and weaknesses, and then how well it's worked. It just I don't know. It seems seamless now,
That's
but
goals right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been really dominating the conversation. So, Jess, is there anything you want to get
Yeah.
into?
No,
Please.
I do have a question that ties into this, but is a little bit big picture too. Because 30, 40 years is a long time. I felt like 10 years was a long time that I've been doing it. And so now I'm curious, like, one, does it feel like it's been that long, or did it just, yeah.
it does not. It does not
You know
feel.
why? Because we're having fun. Like if it was a chore to
Mhm.
come to work, it would be the longest 30-year history, but it's just so fun. And I think especially right now, we have a great team. We're friends, we're partners. The last thing they are is employees. There's so much
Mhm.
respect that, like, it's Monday and I was excited to come to work because I wanted to share what I did on the weekend with everyone.
Yeah.
Between the recipes and what you do and how are your kids and how are your grandkids, and it's just fun.
I think what's interesting when you look back on the 40 years, I would ditto what Susan says. It doesn't seem like that. It's almost like when you're looking at this year, you say, how did we get to July? It's
Yeah.
kind of like that in your life too. How did I get to 40 years in the industry? What's fascinating to me is how it's evolved. Um, when our father bought Gare in 1983. The the main business was about traditional ceramics. We had casting molds then. We had well over 500 colors back then, acrylic paints, glazes, and so forth. It was predominantly, women who would buy the molds and cast the greenware. And when you fast forward to today, we don't have molds anymore, and we don't have, 500 colors, and but it actually runs smoother today than it did back then because Susan and I find that the contemporary studio owner is in it for the business. When
Hmm.
we bought Gare, the owners of the studios back then, they had a hard time even pricing some of the product. They would lend paint to their friends who they couldn't see charging them. So it was not a profitable business for them, which I think is part of the reason it started to die off. They did, we had a lot of leaded glaze back then, so kids couldn't always use the product. It was a dirty, dusty kind of affair. Now the studio owner is more in it for business and is looking for other ways to grow their business, and it wasn't that way then. So I actually find that the studio owner of today has really helped Gare. They've helped our business because they're trying to look for ways to be profitable, to grow, to
Hmm.
get into other markets and so forth. So it's interesting to look back in time because it's a very different market today than it was back when Susan and I joined.
Definitely.
Well,
And
and
what do
so
you
then my other question there is, how do you make those decisions to pivot? Like, what do those conversations look like? Is there just chatter at the family dinner table of like, hey, maybe we need things
Yeah,
are
I think
changing in
it
the
was
industry?
the and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the most interesting, challenging, scary time was when we went from having distributors to saying we're going to sell direct. That was a really large pivot. And it was, as the traditional market was going down and the paint your own pottery was coming up, um, it was really tough. There were a lot of tough decisions. And it was, interestingly enough, our dad, again, being from big business, it was around when Dell and I think Gateway, when they were selling computers direct. And, that kind of put the whole computer industry upside down. And my dad's like, I can see the writing on the wall. We had felt at the time that our color line was what we termed being shelved. And what I mean by that is you had us, Duncan and Mako, and the distributors typically carried all three of us. And so, if you guys walked into a distributor and you said, I want the best black, they would say, oh, they're right over there.
Oh, sure.
And we were really passionate that we had a story to tell on the quality and why our colors and our molds were better. And we were the only ones who can control that destiny. And so, we started a really scary path, but it turned out to work to our benefit because now, we get to talk to the customers direct. We are not relying on a distributor to do that job.
Yes.
So,
And to do their homework to then be able to answer the question correctly.
right.
exactly.
And to get to the original question, there were a lot of conversations and
Mm.
about this internally. Is this the right move? Should we do it? And we really felt like at the end of the day, there was no other choice. It was either be relegated to kind of selling through a kind of a grocery store atmosphere where you didn't have the control over the product to, going direct. And that Susan is absolutely right. It was a scary time, but I remember also having a kind of a self-confidence that if we could control things and we could talk to the customers directly, we had a wonderful story to tell.
Mhm.
And it turned out to be true. It wasn't necessarily a foolproof plan, but we had a quiet self-confidence that for us, it was the right way to go.
Are you spending hours managing studio bookings and class registrations? Occasion helps ceramic studios save an average of 3 days a week in admin time. With clever workflows, instant confirmations, and seamless class management, you can focus on what matters, creating amazing experiences for your customers. Join successful studios like Clay Cafe Avalon, who've trusted Occasion since 2016. Visit occasion.app and schedule a demo today. Mention Glazed Over Podcast for personalized setup support.
Hey, podcast friends, don't miss our new must-have markdowns at biscuitandports.com, located under Featured Bisque. We've got seasonal and holiday bisque, plus everyday favorites, all temporarily discounted up to 25% off. These items are not discontinued, they're just marked down for a limited time only. Items will be added and removed all the time. So if you see something you love, grab it fast, stock up for the holiday season, and save while you do it. Head to biscuitandports.com and shop those markdowns before they're gone.
Do you see any changes coming for the industry in the next 5 years or so, or you think maybe will kind of stay the same? I ask because I've noticed it's getting a little bit younger. Is that something y'all have
Yeah,
noticed?
I think after COVID, Susan and I, we did some. Susan does a lot of traveling. I do a little bit of traveling. We traveled together. I remember right after COVID, and what we started to hear from studio owners was that kind of the 20 to 30 something year olds were looking for something to do. And with the advent of social media, they were starting to show, look at what I did today. And we've seen that group really grow in importance in the
Mhm.
studios, which is wonderful to see because it's now a whole nother generation of customers that are coming into the marketplace, and they're telling two friends and their friends are telling two friends, and we've seen tremendous growth after COVID. You don't like to experience COVID, but in a interesting way, and Susan and I have done a lot of talking about this, that this this entertainment that ceramics provides, this relaxation, this stress reliever, it's hard to compete with it. There's been other things that do compete with it, but at the end of the day, you get to spend time with a loved one doing something that's relaxing, and you get to take it home, a wonderful memory or a gift that you can give to somebody else. And you can go to the movies, but it's all going to be in your head. You can go paint canvas, but there's only so much that you can do of that. So it's hard to compete with what we've got. I'm not saying it's foolproof, but we feel like there's more room to grow with this ceramic entertainment. And so we feel optimistic about the future, and we're unsure exactly what it'll look like in another 5 years, but we're optimistic about the growth potential for this market.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
mean,
like
I
you
think
guys
we're one of
had
the last third places that exists, right? Like,
Yeah.
to your point, one of the few places you can go for a length of time and be able to chat with each other. A lot of us, you can bring in food, celebrate. What I am really successful with walk-in, and it's because we kind of bill it as whatever you're doing, we want to do. You want to have a spirit night, come on down. We'll have a spirit night. You want to have anime night, we've got stuff that fits that. You don't have to do your whole studio. You can do little pockets, and everybody ends up feeling welcome, and they end up talking to each other. And next thing you know, there's a larger community being built around it. So we love it.
And we see wherever we go, it's such a common theme that, like, you can go to different demographics, but say you go to parents, they all want to get their kids off of their devices and off of their, electrical, whatever, gaming, they want to get them to do different things. And there's very little that you can do that's like ceramics that'll do that. So I don't know. We still really are excited about this industry, even with the tariffs that are coming, and uh, we still feel very optimistic.
Yeah. Do I it always comes time to talk about the tariffs, and I'm always like, oh, I don't so I mean, is there any comfort you can give, or any kind of behind the scenes look? Or I do think it's something that we hear and then we freak out about, and it doesn't have to be as scary as it seems. I don't know, am I being naive there?
No, I
I
don't
think
think you're being naive. We've talked about this a lot too. One, regarding tariffs, nobody really knows yet where they're going to land, right? So we're still waiting, like everybody else. What ultimately is going to be the tariff number for each of the countries that we're importing from? And all manufacturers are in a similar boat. Um, I think what is going to end up happening is, there will be some price increases. We've already had one this year. Right now, we're not forecasting beyond what we know. So until we know what the numbers are, we really can't have any discussions about that. But what I would say is this about tariffs: no matter where they end up, all manufacturers are going to be in the same boat. And I think they're probably not going to bear the full cost of the tariffs. They're going to try to share as best they can with their suppliers. And our suppliers have done some sharing. We're going to have to pass some of the cost on to our customers. But, as long as the numbers aren't too crazy, I think it's going to be very survivable. And I think all studio owners should keep this in mind, that I often talk about pricing equilibrium, that, you know, say the tariffs end up being an average of 10 or 15 or 20%. Everybody's going to be in that same boat. And so everything is going to go up, I anticipate, at about the same level. And so people sometimes think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to increase my bisque at this rate. Well, food is going to go, everything is going to go up by a a relatively similar percentage. And so, again, at the end of the day, what we feel good about is what this industry offers people. They still are going to want to spend maybe less, but they're still going to want to spend on entertainment that gives them satisfaction. And they're going to be measuring that against, other things in their everyday life. So people sometimes have a fatalistic approach to, oh, my customer's never going to spend that.
Right.
Well, you know,
How do you know?
I think they will. If you provide a good environment, good service, and I just really believe in this industry. Think about what we survived with COVID. I mean, that was as challenging a time as anything, and I think we'll make it through tariffs, and it won't be without some pain, but I think we're going to make it.
And last week I was talking to customers, and they were like, "Oh, I can't raise my prices." And I said, I challenge you to take half an hour and to look at 5 experiences in your area, 5 popular ones. It can be a trampoline park, an escape room, a movie, bowling alley, and then throw in a restaurant, like your favorite restaurant, and look at their birthday parties. So I was talking to one studio in particular, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do it for you. And so I took a half an hour, and she was pricing her party animals at $12 and had a child studio fee of 5. So at the end of the day, they were $17. They really should be at like $21, $23, and that's for a medium suburb. And so I was trying to tell her, like, you've got to put your party pieces up higher. And she's like, I can't. The people are already thinking they're too high. And I just Googled, I went to TripAdvisor and I found a trampoline park. It was Skyview or Sky Jump or something like that. AMC was her most popular movie theater, she said. And I just showed her what the party packages were. And she was like, I can't believe that. And they were actually $25 to $32 depending on the experience. And she was stunned. And I said, so you can easily bump your party animals up. So
And I have, like in the years that I've been in business, especially this industry, I think one of the things Susan and I see over and over again is the fear to increase the price, because I have a theory that people often listen to the vocal minority, I call it. So they'll have maybe 5 customers come in and say, oh my goodness, your prices are so high here. So that sticks in their head. But you don't have people saying, oh, your pieces are so reasonably priced. I love it here. But they're listening to that vocal minority, and they think that I'll never be able to increase my prices. And Susan has done a wonderful job of just meeting with studios one-on-one and just saying, do me a favor, do this next week. Just increase a couple of these items here. And then they say, oh, thank you for doing that. So there's a tremendous fear. You think that people are going to abandon your studio because the prices are too high, but within reason, if you're, you're not just increasing willy-nilly and going crazy. And again, keeping things within your competitive environment, you should be fine. And, but people get very afraid of, change and making an increase. But it'd be important to try to get used to that, comfortable with it.
Absolutely. Does Gare have anything coming up that, you can maybe tease that we can look forward to and be excited about?
Well, I mean, the thing that I get excited about most are new designs. That's one thing that I've always loved here. And I'm definitely like a little kid in a candy store when I go into the sculpting area and I see some of the new pieces that the team is working on. So there's always an excitement because we know what's coming out, but unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly what's
That's
coming out.
true.
But
Does it help if I say this will air in October?
yeah, we're very
Go to the
excited. We got the
CCSA show.
CCSA show. We're
Yeah.
always excited about the CCSA
yeah.
Convention. So we're really excited. Right now, the team is busy putting the show booth together, and they don't let Susan and I in at the beginning. So they say they're too nervous. They want to get it just right before they show us. So that's kind of the fun part of the year is the team putting together the booth, and then Susan and I get to go in. And Susan is funny because she's like, "Oh my God," when she sees it. You can't hide
That's a perfect Susan
her
impression.
enthusiasm. She'll go
I
crazy.
wear my reaction on my face.
Yeah.
And then everybody knows, okay, we did a good
It's
job.
good. Yeah.
We got to know my God from Susan,
That's amazing. And I will say the booth every year is incredible.
Oh,
So your
yeah.
team is doing a
Aw,
really, really
thanks.
good job.
Well, that's a tough thing now. We say, I don't know how you're going to beat like the
know.
previous one, so but we're looking forward to that. I would say that's the next big thing that we're working on is the booth and getting ready for that.
Yeah. And will you do the same thing you did last year of at the end of the show, like be willing to sell off stuff in the booth?
What we always do is we talk about it as once we see what the team has done,
Mm-hmm.
we'll sit there and say, like last year we did that amazing, Christmas display. And when we didn't have the idea before the show that we were going to sell that off, we realized how much it was going to take to pack that up though. And we had people suggesting during the show, why don't you sell that? And so sometimes these things come about organically and we don't even know what we're going to do until the last minute. So it'll probably happen like that again.
I like
We
that.
had people last year, they actually were calling like freight companies to help, like, because we were trying to guide them, how many boxes it was going to take. And, people didn't have enough room in their cars or whatever. And oh my God, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I got teary-eyed when I saw that one. And I think this year, it's totally different. We've changed the part of the backdrop, like the bookcases are going to be different.
Oh,
A little secret.
cool.
So you have been sneaking back there to take a
Yeah.
look.
Uh-huh.
Oh no, I just see the boxes coming from Amazon with Jamie's name on it.
Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny.
I can't wait. We primarily carry Gare pieces in our studio, and I almost feel like a sucker every time there's a new drop because I'm like, well, just give me one of everything, and then they all sell out.
Yeah, the Halloween stuff
and it's
especially.
fantastic.
So
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Robert is
Yeah.
so good with like you're saying the cuteness, but he's still making these like fun Halloween pieces. I love that convention that
Yes.
you have him sculpting live. I just think that's so genius.
Yeah, it still fascinates me, the process. And one of the neat things now, again, we have Charlotte, who's kind of both a marketing assistant and she's apprenticing now under Robert. And it's fun again to see two different approaches to how a piece is created. It's funny to see like Robert, he'll start out with a ball of clay and he'll literally take this wooden kind of mallet and just bang on it. And you're like, Robert, what piece are you working on now? And Charlotte has a different approach to it, but it's interesting seeing, how they approach the piece and research, okay, how am I going to make this cute? And yeah, it still excites me to this day. And then seeing how Tammy paints it, it's the whole process. Robert creates this, three-dimensional piece that's blank, and then Tammy has to figure out, how to paint it. And then, we really love seeing our pieces that the customer then takes. Like we had a fox, party animal, and we're seeing it painted as a raccoon, and it's just fun to see what people will do with the work that we created. And there's so much creativity out there that it's kind of fun to see when you're in the studio or on the social media.
Yeah, agreed. Can I ask some fun questions now?
Yes.
Oh God.
Not that any of these weren't fun, but I would love to hear what your current favorite piece is in the Gare collection, which I know you guys have a lot, but what are you liking right now?
I've got a new one that isn't out yet.
Yes, I do too.
Here we go again.
Cool. Cool.
Can I do an
Keep us in the dark.
imitation of it?
What was that?
Can I do an imitation of it? I think you and I have the same one.
Like charades.
wait.
I love this.
Yeah, you're not
it's
going to get
dancing.
that from Susan's
It's a
Is
impression,
squirrel.
but I know
is it
what she's
a
doing. But
is
no,
it a
but like,
hula
It's a
dancer?
hula hooping girl, a hula girl.
you know
That's
what?
a good.
Yeah, like current ones that we have out there. What would you say, Susan? Like, one of the ones that we have a fun kind of banter back and forth. So Susan was not on the sales on the design team for a little
I
while
got kicked off.
because I wanted her to focus on sales, like
Uh-huh.
They kicked me off.
so she started giving ideas that were all like winners, so like we had to let her back on because she kept like
She proved her
she had this
value.
like this mug that seems innocuous, but like that mug is selling gangbusters, and so they
Hmm.
named it Susie's
Susie
Sunshine mug.
Sunshine.
Uh,
Tammy painted this and I stole it before it could be photographed. And all of a sudden we're at lunch and Jamie goes, Tammy, where'd the mug go? And she's like, the orange one? And I was like, ooh. And all of a sudden I was like, I come down with my coffee.
I like some of the pieces that like take axolotl. Like
Mhm.
I didn't know what an axolotl was until a customer said something and said,
Mm.
you know what you guys should do? You should do an axolotl. And you start researching it and you see, oh, Build-A-Bear has an axolotl and so on. So like I have a lot of favorites because we're in on the ground floor of how that idea was created. Did it come from a customer? Did it come from one of our team members? Did it come when we went to a show? Like we'll go to Atlanta Gift Show is one of the things that we go
And
to.
yet no one ever calls me to get dinner or anything, though I live in Atlanta.
And I'm not invited to Atlanta, just saying.
Oh, well, I
Yeah.
did. I texted Jamie after the show last time and I said, excuse me, next
Yeah.
year I better see you. So holding you to that.
But some of the ideas are coming so like fast and frequent
Mhm.
that like I don't know, I have a lot of favorites. I like again anything that puts a smile on my face. And you know, we have some really cool pieces coming out that I think everybody's going to really enjoy.
I
Okay.
think one of my favorites, which is it's really basic, is our new Edgeware dinnerware because I'm a big
Mm.
foodie and it is like all over like the cooking shows and just when you go out and just there's a lot of creativity that can be done with those. So that's like my fun current one.
Yeah, I do find those are my favorite things to paint. I struggle with something that is too formed because then I
Yeah.
can't. It feels too hard to paint. So I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Do you have a current favorite glaze color?
My favorite color is blue, so I love
Are you a
all of
bebop
the
and blue?
blues.
Yeah,
Like I've got blue on today.
you
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
My favorite color.
Okay.
Um,
Susan?
you know what? You know what is a really well, one that's everybody knows, like glass green. I love the glass green for Christmas trees.
Mhm.
Mm.
And then cast iron is kind
Oh,
of a
love it.
it has a look of cast iron. So I would say my favorite color that isn't totally well known is cast iron because it's got the rusty kind of look of aged cast iron. And
Okay.
I like that one. But glass can't go wrong with glass green either.
True.
Or blues.
Susan, what about you?
Mine's pottery glazes because I can't paint worth a darn. So I did a vase. It was our mason pitcher, and I turned it into a vase because I love flowers, and so I cut flowers. And I did our matte white is the base, and then I put I think it was either pottery peacock, the blue, and then I put a tan, and then magic flow in it, and I had it drip down. Oh, it looks so good with like English garden flowers. So,
Well, that brings me to my next question. I was going to ask what you're growing right now in your gardens.
oh, well, I got my first zucchini.
Oh,
Yay!
Yep. So I got that. I got some eggplant growing. My cucumbers are coming. My tomatoes are green. Um, but my flowers, oh my God, I got my Shasta daisies are going nuts.
oh,
My roses, I have different types of roses. What else? My cone flowers.
oh, I love
Uh, my
Susan's got a
irises.
green thumb. She's got
Yeah.
wonderful flowers.
I
Yeah,
love
I would
them.
love to
I
see.
just, oh, I'll have to send you pictures.
Please do.
I will.
And Dave, I have to ask you, I believe they're cats. They're named Savannah and Georgia.
Yeah, my
Tell me,
wife,
what's the
What's up with
connection?
my
that?
wife Missy is, when we got married, she said, Dave, I'm warning you, I want a lot of kids and I want a lot of animals. So I didn't shy away from that. But like I've got 4 children. They're all grown now, 30, between 30 and 25, 2 boys, 2 girls. And the cat and the dog came about. We had a joke when if we had an animal that was going to be going on in life, 13 years old, my wife would say, "Oh, this is going to be a tough one to get over. It's going to take me a while."
Yeah.
And I would go on a business trip and I would get home and there would be a new cat or dog to replace the previous one. And so this has gone on for the last, 34 years since we've been married. So the last one, she was very kind, and we got a dog, and I said, and we wanted to go rescue this time. We had a couple Goldens through our lives, and we wanted to go rescue. So I said, great. And can I pick the name? So it came from Georgia, so I just said Savannah. I like the name,
Love
and
it.
so we got the dog first. Well, wouldn't you know it, I go on our cat was aged and had passed away. I go on a business trip. I come back, and Missy had bought a cat. I'm like, you can't. We already had this discussion.
Uh,
What are you doing? So I said, well, I get to name it then. And so this one came from Georgia, and I said, there's Savannah, and now there's Georgia. But we nicknamed her Gigi. But every time she brings the dog and the cat to the vet, they just shake their head, and she blames me, which is right, because
Uh,
so they're both rescues from Georgia, and we just felt I wanted to have fun with it.
yeah, I love
So
that. You'll have to get an Atlanta, you'll have to get an
yeah.
Albany, all of the
But I don't want to go on another business trip because I'm worried there's going to be another animal
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
you got to stay home. Yeah, sorry to everybody at convention, but you have to stay home.
Feel like a juggler at your ceramic studio? Between classes, bookings, and admin tasks, those pins keep flying. Let Occasion help you put down the act and get back to creating. Visit occasion.act to discover your peace of mind.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Des Toll from Biscuit Imports. And remember, our must-have markdowns page is live now with seasonal, holiday, and classic bisque up to 25% off. Not discontinued, just discounted for a limited time. Shop quick, and we'll catch you next time.
Are you ready to stay ahead of the curve in the fine arts industry? Look no further than CCSA Today, our quarterly magazine packed with business insights, industry trends, and operational tips tailored specifically for fine arts studio owners like you. Whether you prefer the printed or digital version, each issue of CCSA Today is full of valuable content to help you run a more efficient, profitable, and creative studio. You'll find everything from the latest business strategies to inspiring seasonal designs that keep your customers coming back for more. Don't miss out on this must-have resource. Become a member of the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association and get CCSA Today delivered right to your mailbox or inbox. Learn more at ccsaonline.com.
Well, you guys, is there anything that, before we get out of here, is there anything you'd like to leave us with? Any news, any things to look out for? Maybe when does GareFest signups open?
GareFest signups typically open. We always have it the first Monday, Tuesday of March. And so I believe we open it around Thanksgiving, and we usually tell people in advance when the signups are. So that's we don't know where we're going to have it though this year. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
you're going to have to wait
Atlanta.
and see.
Atlanta, yeah. I mean, I think Atlanta's a great place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get everyone to come hang out with me, and no one's biting
Yeah.
on that, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you guys so much. It was a delight to get to know you better, and I know that everyone listening will just feel the same. And I do think this will come out after a convention, but I look forward to seeing everyone be so excited about the booth and all the fun new stuff that's happening at convention.
That's awesome.
Yay.
Well, thank you for inviting us too. This is
Yes.
my first podcast, so I'm excited
Oh,
to
well, we're
have
honored.
done my first one with CCSA.
Oh,
So
great.
that's nice.
Yay.
All
fun.
morning we were saying we're going to be podcast famous.
And you will. And you
Yeah, we'll make sure of that.
Glazed Over is brought to you by the CCSA, the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association. Thank you to our moderators, Amy Williams and Jessica Cowan. Editing by Scott Lester. Executive production by Vicki DeWort. Learn more at ccsaonline.com.